Hi there, how's it going? Welcome to Looplearnings. This is the next video in the series. We are making an inventory management system. I think you're watching video number 13 of the series or 14. In this video, I'm going to primarily focus on sales order because we finished the sales order skeleton in the last video. We prepared a couple of menus. As you can see here, we created mechanism to bring the products onto the user interface by clicking on the categories. So this is what we did, and including the uh, embedding the sales order details columns onto the form. So now we will proceed next, and we will actually work today mostly, or in this video perhaps mostly about the sales order details. So how do we bring the information into the sales order? For example, what products customer have bought. So we want to bring that. So we want to build that mechanism. So that's what we are going to work on in this video. So if you're interested, please do watch until the end, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get notification whenever I upload any video. And if you end up liking whatever you will see today in this video, then smash the like button and tell me in the comments below as well. Okay, let's get started. So in the last video, I created the skeleton as I said. Now I do not need these order dates or order ID or status fields as editable fields. I want them to non-editable fields. I don't want any user to be entering data manually here. Okay, the only field I want, or the perhaps the combo box, is the customer information. That's it. So let's go ahead and right click and let's make them non-editable fields. So I'll basically select all the text boxes, go to the form design, property sheet, and in the data tab, I will enable them no, and I will lock them yes. Now we can make the background color into a little bit darker, not very dark, although it's up to you, it's your choice, but I like this lightest grayish color. So that's the indication for the user that these fields are not editable fields. Okay, so that's one thing that I wanted to do. Another thing I want to do, if I click on create or update, something should happen, right? Now this is a bound form. So for bound form, you don't need to do a lot of VB coding, unlike the unbound form. Now people also told me that in this channel, in the comments, why don't you use bound form? So for you guys, here is the bound form. There are pros and cons, of course, using bound form and unbound form, but if you'll personally ask me, I like the unbound form. All right, but there are many reasons. Okay, so I'll go to the design view, and we'll go to the create button. We'll right click and we'll go to the property sheet, and we'll go to the event tab. We'll build the on click event. Now think about it, logically speaking, what would you like to have user selected or provided the information into this form, so you'll allow them to proceed? There's only one thing I can see, and that is the customer information. If the customer information is not provided, we'll throw an error. Let's look at another scenario. If the sales order has already been invoiced, should the user be able to add items in the sales order? Logically speaking, no. So we'll have looking at that situation, we'll have that mechanism built in as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say if nz me dot customer equals double quote, then do cmd dot p and through a message box, tell the user this section, or please choose the customer, rather than say this section cannot be performed. Please choose the customer. Okay. So we'll say that, and because this is an error, so we'll make it as VB critical, and information would be the title of the message box. Then the second condition we are going to build in, else if me dot status equal invoiced. Yep. Then also throw a message box. So rather than me typing it again, I'm going to copy and paste. All right, but I'm going to change the message box. So this action cannot be performed, something like that. Okay. Now in here, I forgot one thing, and that is to set focus. So me dot customer dot set focus. Okay. Well, if these two conditions are false, then we will go ahead and we will actually create the sales order. Now, because this is bound form, as I said, very few line of code, and you should be done. So what we will do, we will put the sales date, and we will put the status. That's it. So I'll say me dot sales state equals, will format the date to today. Okay, the sorry, today mean the date and time when the user will actually click the button. So I'll say day, day, month, and year. Okay. Oops, have I done any mistake here? Format. Now, oh, okay. There's definitely a mistake. I didn't provide the comma. All right. Now, next is the status. So we'll make the status equals new because at this stage, the order is actually new. And we'll give a confirmation message to the user. We'll say the sales order for the customer. Let's give a customer name, right? Just to be a little bit more fancy. And you can show the customer name on the message box. So we'll say me dot customer and dot column, and you fetch the information from column number one. I believe that's the column where the customer name resides has been created. Okay. All right. That's it. That's pretty much it. That's the that's the benefit of bound form. You don't have to write a lot of lines, of course, unlike the unbound form. So let's close that and let's test it out. How about that? Okay. And we'll say, okay, let's click on create. We haven't chosen the customer, so it says, hey, choose the customer, and it brings the cursor in that. So let's say we choose the Robert Downey Jr. and we click on create. The sales order for the Robert Downey Jr. You can see that the customer name has been added in here. Now, one thing I'm missing here is the icon. This looks a little odd, but let me see why. So let's see. Click OK. And ladies and gentlemen, the order has been created. Now, here we go. We get a message box. The conversion failed when converting date and time. Okay. This is, I'm keeping it live in case if you encounter the similar error, then you will have to find out what exactly needs to be done. So let's see what is the issue. You can't save record at this time. Um, okay. You know, I have to cancel it. And we know the error has come for the date and time. So let's go to the sales. Although we can't make any change here, but we can at least see the sales date. It is marked as sales short text. Now let me go to the SQL and let's see what field we have added in there. So let's see that. So now we are in SQL Server and we can see that here it says the sales date as a date. Now I'm assuming the Microsoft Access has a data type date and time. So because this is a date, it might not be recognizing this type of data type. Uh, but we do have date and time in SQL Server as well. So how about we choose the date and time, we save it, and we will try it out if this will work or not. Now the change that I've done, this change will not be reflected in the Access database unless I have to go there in the Access database and I have to refresh the table. So let me close that and let me refresh the table and refresh link. So now if I will go to the design view, we should have date and time. And now technically speaking, we should be okay in recording in creating the sales order. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me go to sales order and let me choose the customer name and we will create the sales order now. And it says until now we were getting this message. So let's say okay. And now we are not getting any error, but let's close it. And it seems that the sales order has been created. You can see that the sales order number has been created. So that's very, very important that, we see what error occurs and how do we rectify those errors. And the best way that I found, I may be wrong, but according to me, I go step by step. So first I will check because first of all, read the error. What's the message? Read it because most of the time you will get clues from the error message itself. So read the error, then step by step go and try to fix it. Okay. Now you can see that that error has gone. Okay, great. Now next step is I want to add the product into my sales order. It's a major step, right? That's why we are making this. So how I would like to do. So let's say I choose a category and I get the corresponding products in the database, and I want to build a double click event. Once I build a double click event, I want the sales order details form to be popped up. And the only reason we want that is because of the quantity. because customer can order one quantity or multiple quantities. If it is one quantity, then I don't need to open the sales order pop-up phone. I just simply will keep one default quantity and will just keep creating the products in the sales order. But in real world, customer has his own demand. So some would come and say one piece we required of this product, some may come and multiple uh, quantities required. So in that case, both situations, we need the sales order, we need some sort of form or toggle button which will help us to change the quantities. We can change the so the prices can be updated accordingly. Okay, let's go ahead and let's see how it will work. So we'll go to the design view, and I click on the list box, which actually we are going to use to populate the product. But what form I want to open? When I double click here on the product, I want the sales order detail form to be open. Now you can see I've already created this form just to save yours and my time. It's very simple form. You trust me, there's nothing uh, that you have skipped. So it's a very simple form. I just did the formatting and nothing else. You can see the product details into this combo box and the quantity. So you can see there are only two fields that are marked as yellow. That means these are only two fields that are editable. Other than that, all the fields will come from the sales order itself. Okay, so the mechanism is I double click on this list box, and I want this uh, form to be popped up, and I want this form to have all the respective information with default quantity as one. So it takes one quantity, then we can change it. User can change it to 2 or 10 or whatever the customer requirement is. So at least we give the starting point to the user, okay, to make it easy for the user. So how do we do that? So let me take it to the design view, and now we know that in this list box, we do have products. If I'll go to the data tab and I'll go to dot, 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 you can see that product ID, product, selling price, and the category ID is there. So just remember the column numbers because we do need the column number. So zero column number has ID, one column number, column one has product name, column two has selling price. All right. So we need to remember that. Why? I'm going to tell you in a bit. Because this is a unbound form, and I want to keep this as a unbound form. I don't want to keep it as bound form. And this is why I said we'll create a hybrid approach to actually create this sales order. So let's build a double click event, and we'll go to the event tab, and we'll go to the on double click event, and we'll press dot dot dot, and we'll say code builder. And in here, we're going to write the magic which will actually work the way we intend this application to work. So we'll say, first of all, open the form. All right. So do cmd dot open form. And it is asking which form should I open. So of course we want this form to be open. So SO details F, that's the form. SO details F. Okay. Now, after that, once the form is open, we want to transfer some of the information. For example, we want to transfer the sales order detail ID will be created, okay, by default. But we want to transfer the order ID from the sales order ID, okay. So we'll say forms exclamation mark SO details F exclamation mark, and the field name is the order ID, okay, equals the order ID on the sales order form. So we'll say forms, exclamation mark, sales order form, and the order ID. Okay, so that's done. Order ID is transferred to the sales order detail form. Now we want the product ID to be transferred. Now remember in the list box, what number what column number holds the product ID? It's zero number column. Okay, so we will transfer that. So we'll say forms exclamation mark SO details F exclamation mark product ID equals me dot list products dot column and the column number zero. All right, so that's transferred. Now selling price. Selling price is in column number two, if I'm not mistaken. So selling price will be there, and we'll say there we go. We'll copy that just to save yours and my time. Selling price and the column number two, right? Because zero is product ID, one is product name, and two is the selling price, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, then we have the quantity. So as I said, we'll keep the quantity by default to one. So we'll say, we'll copy that and we'll paste in here and we'll say quantity equals one. Okay, now here's the important bit. I want you to pay attention. So now, once the quantity is provided, I want the gross price. Now, by the way, one more thing, okay? If you're following me, if you're making the application and following me and making the application, I want you to make one change, and that is gross price. I've added this field into the sales order detail form called gross price. The idea is that we have a selling price of a product. We will multiply that with the quantity that customer has requested. We will have a gross price. Once we have a gross price, we will actually calculate the 5% tax of that sales tax of that gross price, and we will populate it on the total price. Now, I know this may not be the standard industry way of working, but we are demonstrating the capabilities what max of access can do, what max of access can achieve. And again, 5% sales tax, I don't know whether that's correct in your region or area where you're watching from, but I'm just keeping it as a dummy data, right? We are practicing and we are learning, and from this learning you can take this learning and create your own application in your own way. I always do that. I always say that, just to be more precise. So how do we do this calculation? Well, it's quite simple. So first of all, what we'll do, we will multiply. So we'll take the gross price and we'll say me dot, sorry, not me dot, forms. Oops, let's paste it just to save our time. So we'll say gross price, and then we will we'll actually copy this and paste in here, and we'll say, look, the gross price is equal to selling price into quantity. So selling price into quantity. So we'll multiply that. Okay, so that's done. Gross price. Have I done any mistake? Yes, I have. That's why it's not capitalized. So now it's okay. All right. So now we have the gross price. Now we can calculate the 5% tax. Or again, whatever taxation in your area and your region, please apply that. I'm just giving an example. Okay. So now let's calculate the sales tax. And to do that, we'll come paste here and we'll say tax. Now, tax is equal to gross price. Okay, into 0.05. I think this will make the 5% of the gross price. We'll see. We'll watch. And then we have the total price. Now, total price is basically gross price plus tax equals total price. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, again, we will see. All right, so just bear with me. So, total price equals gross price plus tax. Okay, oh, tax. All right. Now we're getting there. And the status, we want status to be new. Okay. So we'll say status. Now, this is the benefit of copy pasting. So I hope you're with me. I really do hope you're with me still with. Okay. So that's it. That's what we want to do with this operation of double click event. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm copy this 3 line of code, and I'll tell you why. I'll copy this. God bless who invented copy and paste. And I will paste it behind the quantity button. So we'll go to the event tab and we will say on ch- after update event, after update event. Okay. So after update event, we'll come here and we'll paste it. Now, instead of all of this reference to the form, because we are in the form itself, so we'll say me dot everything. But all the calculations remain exactly the same that I have explained earlier. Okay. So in here, you also change it. Okay, gross price. This one also changed. So just to make sure that I'm not going to get any error. Anyway, if there is error, we'll fix it. But I try to make sure that I cover all the aspects before I move to the. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I think we do have a mechanism to calculate the pricing and taxation and everything. Let's debug it. As of now, there's no error. That's great. Now I forgot one thing, and that is actually we'll put some conditions here as well. So the conditions are same. If, for example, if is null, not is null. If nz me dot order ID equals double quote, then do cmd.beep message box. This action cannot be performed. Okay, comma, and VB information. And no, this is VB critical. VB critical, and the information is the title. And again, if the sales order is invoiced, we don't want this to happen either. So I'm going to select it, paste it here, and we'll just change the condition here. Else if me dot status. Come on. All right, here we go. There's a problem here, and the problem is I have to refer to this form as forms because remember I'm in the list box, so I have to refer outside of the list box, which is residing in the form. So that's why I thank God I've realized uh, immediately. Okay, so if it is status is invoiced, then what will happen? Okay, so let's save that and let me copy this so we can change on the top here. There we go. Okay, else if that's false, then else condition, and then we'll close that with end if. Okay, that should work. But how do we know? We'll try it out. We'll see whether this works or not. Let's close that. Let me save it. Let me go to the form view, and we have a sales order. Now let's double click here. Let's say gaming console. We want 515.78. So let's double click, and there you go. We can see that something is happening. So we have order ID, we have product ID, we have selling price, which is actually same 515.78. We have quantity one by default. Again, you can change it. User can change it, and based on that, the gross price is of course the same as selling price, and then 25.789. Hopefully that's 5% of the gross price, and then the gross price plus tax 541.569. Now let's try to change the quantity, and let's see if the numbers gets updated here, right here in these uh, fields actually. So I'm going to press 2, and it does. So we have the now price for the 2 quantity, tax 5%, and the total price after the tax. So this shows that it is working. Now the only thing I need to do is the I need to change the formatting into the standard formatting so it looks like currency or currency formatting. You can do that. But in a nutshell, this definitely works. Okay, so that's great. Now next thing is we want to build a mechanism to actually save this information into the sales order detail and populate this information onto this list box as well. So that we are going to do, and this is what I'm going to demonstrate in a bit. So let's close this. Actually, let me double click again. Let's go to the design view. And because that's unbound form, and which means we have to use the record sets to transfer that information. So click, I use the on click event. So we'll see. First, we will check the conditions. All right. So if nz me dot order ID, because that's the important information, right? If this is missing, then we will not perform this action. All right. Do cmd.beep message box, and this action cannot be performed. Okay. We'll say will be critical, and the title would be information. And then we will we'll see if that condition is false. Then we will declare the variable, right? So dim rs as record set, and we'll set that variable. Set rs equals current current db dot open record set, parenthesis open, parenthesis close, double quote, and I refer to the record set. The record set name is sales detail because that's the table we are going to transfer this information to, and we'll say db open diner set and dbc changes. Okay, so that's done. Now we will come here and we'll say rs dot add new, and we'll say rs dot update. Okay, right. In between these two line of code, we will actually write the code which will transfer the information from this form to the list box. Sorry, to the table. So let me open in design view because this is what I like to do. Watch. All right, rs order id equals me dot order id. There we go. And then the product id See, that's the benefit. If you'll keep the same name, some people actually comes to the form and they change the name to TXT sales order ID, TXT order ID. Okay, that's your preference maybe, but when you're coding, you want the efficiency, and I think this is how the efficiency is actually demonstrated. Mirror selling. Oops. Now next, I'm talking about efficiency. I forgot to copy. All right, and RS exclamation mark selling price. Mirror selling price. Oops, not sell selling price. Okay. Then next we have the quantity. So RS exclamation mark quantity equals mirror quantity. And next one is gross price. So no, we're not going there. We're coming here. RS gross price mirror gross price. And tax, RS tax equals mirror tax. Okay. It's total price equals mirror total price. And then we have status, RS. Okay, first of all, mirror status equals, no, it's already there. So RS status equals mirror status. Okay, so that's done. Now we will actually close this. So we'll say rs dot close and set rs equals nothing. That's very, very important. And once we did that, we will do a message box, do cmd dot beep and message box. The product has been added. Okay. To some people, these message box are a bit annoying. So in future, I will show you the way that you can avoid these message box pop-ups entirely, but you still give the information. That's very, very important. Now remember, I want this. So what is the sales order form? Why did I close it? I want this list box to be refreshed. Okay, so list SOD. That's the name. So forms, and it is on sales order form and the list. You know what? I'm going to copy the name so I don't mess up. Dot query. Okay, that's done. So let's test it out if this works. So I'm going to close this, and let's save it. And let's go to the form view. And in here, I'm going to select a product. Let's say, the wet cover. And let's change the quantity. All right, it's working. And let's click on create. And we have a problem. Scaling of decimal value resulted in data. Let's see, for what? Tax. Okay. Now, let's remember the I said we have to make sure that we um, track where's the problem. So right now the value for tax maximum allowed is 2. Okay. And what should we do? Should we increase the decimal points? Because right now it seems that the message is coming because of the decimal points. Or because right now you can see that it's a 3 decimal points. So that's why it's not allowing. So we'll go to the let's try this out. We'll go to the design view of the sales order detail form, and we are going to make sure that the decimal points remain 2. They don't increase. Right now you see it's auto. So maximum 2 decimals we want to allow. All right. Now let's go ahead and try again. And I'm going to see if I have opened the table here. Yes, I have. We would have gotten the error. All right. So let's try again. Okay. Duet cover. Let's make 3 quantity. And let's click on create. And still giving error because um, it is not allowing to proceed. Although it says 2, but we have hidden that third one. So let's go ahead and actually change the in SQL Server. So we'll change, let's say, design. So we'll change the decimal to, let's say, 3. Okay. That's weird, but I'm just testing. But then later on, we'll find out another solution that how can we avoid this problem to happen. Now, this change, remember, I have to make this change. I have to refresh the link in Access to make sure that we have gotten the right link. So I'll go here, sales detail. So I'll refresh the link. Okay. Now let's try it out. Uh, let's let's take another product. Let's click on create. And this time it is added. And you can see that the product has been added to the order as well. Okay, that's great, fantastic. This is what I was looking for. And these decimal points, we will see how can we fix them. I will look into it for sure. In the next video, we will cover them because these are important. I'm sitting right now in kind of oven, right? So it's very hot. So I'm going to close this video as of now. But thank you for watching. If you're still watching, appreciate it. If you liked whatever you've seen, smash the like button. Tell me in the comments below if you have learned something. And subscribe to the channel if you have not, and hit the bell icon so you get notification whenever I upload any video. Well, that's it for now. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.